Morning, everyone. Super excited
Morning.
to be here. It's Friday. It's sunny. It's nice outside, finally. And as you guys know, I'm Courtney, and I'm a local realtor here in San Diego County. And I'm really, really excited to have our next guest on. It's our Raising Your Real Estate IQ show. And today I've got Brandon with Pacific Drain and Plumbing. And we're going to talk about everything plumbing, things you didn't even know you needed to know. And it could help you save tons of money and lots of headaches. So thanks for being on today, Brandon.
Hi, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yay. So today we're going to talk about a couple different things. First one is ways to help prevent leaks and major plumbing issues. This is huge. Nobody wants plumbing issues, and there's some things that can be done to prevent. Sometimes you can't. No, there's no prevention, but there are a lot of things we can do. We're going to talk about some top plumbing inspections to complete when you're in escrow, just to help make sure that you're protecting yourself. And then lastly, we're going to talk about most common plumbing surprises that homeowners find themselves. I mean, you see things all over the board. And so we're going to talk about a couple stories and things like that and how we can kind of try to avoid it with people who are watching. So let's jump into the first topic. Okay, ways to help prevent leaks and major plumbing issues.
All right. So the most important thing that I always tell any homeowner, they're asking me this, I don't ever want to have a slab leak. How do I make sure that I don't have a slab leak? Because, slab leaks can be a nightmare. If you get lines that are leaking under your house and you have a slab instead of having a raised foundation, then, your carpet can get ruined, your drywall, you can get mold. It just becomes kind of a giant pain. So there are a couple of things that you can do to mitigate that. The first thing is having a good working pressure regulator. So when you have your general home inspection, they're going to do a pressure test on your home. And you really want that to be anywhere between 45, which is a little on the low, but still acceptable, up to 75 PSI. If your pressure is lower than that, then a lot of your fixtures aren't going to work properly. And if your PSI is higher than that, then that's when you get a lot of slab leaks and problems. So it's really important to regulate your house pressure because it can come in really high from the city and there can be really big fluctuations from the city. So the picture on the right of the screen is your pressure regulator, and everyone should have one of those where their main water line is entering their house. And that right there is your main source of protection for all of your fixtures, as well as your pipes, your water heater, everything.
Definitely. And when we're in the middle of a home inspection, we'll know this, but the average homeowner doesn't just know, oh, I can test it. I should test it once a year, once every couple of years, just to make sure. So that'll be a key thing is, either there's a little tool you can get at the store or have a plumber come over and take a look at it and just kind of check in as time goes on and make sure they're not putting undue stress on your system that could not only cause leaks, but also slab leaks. That would be terrible.
And honestly, it's one of the easiest things to check yourself. You can get a pressure gauge from Home Depot. They're about $5 or $6 in the plumbing section. You screw it onto your hose bib just like you would a water hose, and you turn on the hose bib and it'll tell you your pressure. So it's the easiest thing to do. Anyone can do it.
Great. So monitoring that will be a simple way to prevent leaks moving forward. So that's great. Awesome. Okay, we had another idea here. Let me try and see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, so let's go back to that last screen actually real quick.
Okay.
So the other thing, since we're talking about leaks and prevention and just protecting your house, on the right of the screen, you'll see the Flow by Moen. We do install these, and what that does is it hooks onto your plumbing system right after the pressure regulator valve. And it actually learns your water usage. And, it's a smart technology, and it gets used to the amount of water that you're using in your house on a daily basis. Any abnormal spike in water usage, it's going to immediately alert you, and it'll shut down your system. So it'll turn off the water automatically. So say you're out of town on vacation, and all of a sudden there's a leak somewhere, and you don't know about it. This system, it'll shut it off. It'll stop the leak. And then when you get home from wherever you're at, you can kind of have a look and figure out what's going on. But it's a fantastic source of protection from your home. And if you've had a slab leak before, if you reach out to your insurance company, they will typically actually pay for one of these to be installed.
Wow, that's awesome. I've never done that.
Very cool. So kind of the next step up in home protection is going to be full home filtration. Here at Pacific Drain and Plumbing, we install the Halo system. So you can look them up on halowater.com, but that's the home filtration that we like to use. This is not a soft water system. It's different. With the soft water system, you're constantly having to add salt. And with the Halo system, it's a medium filtration, which is completely self-sustaining. So you, once it's hooked up, don't have to touch it for about 10 years. It's good for 10 years. It's good for 1 million gallons. It's self-cleaning. You don't have to maintenance it at all. It maintains itself. And this protects your water heater, your fixtures, your faucets, your pipes, really slows down that corrosion in your copper lines, and it tastes delicious. So, you know, your skin is an organ. Your skin absorbs the water when water comes in contact with your skin. Those chemicals and the things that are in our city water, which are gross, by the way, you can look it up. Our San Diego does not have good water, no part of it. It filters that all out, and you actually do feel better. And you'll never have to buy bottled water again because it's delicious. So it protects you, it protects your home, and it tastes good. So nice. I love those things. So there's the 3 main things: mow and flow. That way you don't have any slab leaks. Pressure regulator. That way your angle stops and everything are protected, and full home filtration. So if you want to do plumbing preventatively and proactively instead of reactively, this is how you do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are great tips. And another thing that we talked about as we were kind of preparing was just being aware of the condition of some of your plumbing. I mean, there's people who they move into a house and they just enjoy it, and they never really take time to take a look at, you know, what they can visibly see. And then what happens is you don't find out that you have an issue until it starts leaking water everywhere when you really have an issue. So we included some photos here of corrosion on some of the valves and the angle stops. So if you see anything that looks like this would be a great time before the leak happens to either have a plumber out to clean it or to replace it, so that you know, have completely working connections, because that's where a lot of leaks come from. I mean, Brandon, what would you say with when you guys get called out for fixing leaks? How many, like, what's the percentage of like simple things that could have been maintained versus big surprising issues?
Leaking angle stops, you definitely have a lot of problems with, and these specific valves that are shown, you're going to have issues with. Anytime that you see this electrolysis, like you see on the screen right here, you replace that. That's not anything that you just want to clean up. If you couple this situation with the corrosion that you're seeing on the screen with a non-functional pressure regulator, that's your recipe for disaster right there, because all it's going to take is a quick spike from the city, and that pressure is going to go up all of a sudden out of nowhere, and boom, now you've got a leak. And what was a simple repair that was relatively inexpensive all of a sudden just became a giant pain.
Yeah, and potentially an insurance claim and things like that, which we don't want at all. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So this will be a key thing. It's, you know, go around right now, take a look at your valves, and if you have any valves or angle stops that look like this, then, you know, call up Pacific Drain and Plumbing and ask them to come out. And it's never fun to spend money on plumbing, right? Like, it's just kind of like, well, it should be working, but it's so much better to prevent than to deal with the alternative.
Exactly. Proactive plumbing. Reactive is not fun. You don't want to be the emergency call of the day that everyone has to rush to fix real quick. And
they get charged more, you know, for whatever that emergency might be.
Well, even if it's not charged more for the plumbing, all of a sudden you have property damage that you're dealing with, you know. So this is your home, your investment. This is, you know, water can really destroy a lot. So you want to make sure these systems are in good working condition.
Yep, definitely. Okay. Next topic is going to be top plumbing inspections to complete when you're in escrow to protect yourselves. And I always like kind of having general homeowner tips, but then I also want to talk about when you're in escrow, what do you need to be sure to look at? And so one of my favorite things that we can do to help protect buyers is going to be, you know, what we're going to talk about right now. And there's so many things that while we're in escrow, we can see and touch and feel and inspect, but then there's going to be certain parts that we can't. And so, you know, there's something that you're going to talk about right now that's going to, I guess, bring more light to the condition of the home.
Sure. So something that me particularly is, as well as our company, we do real estate camera inspections. And there are a lot of home inspectors that are doing camera inspections now, which is fantastic because it wasn't the norm a long time ago. And as these houses are getting older and people are getting better informed, it's becoming more and more mandatory that you're doing a camera inspection as well as a general home inspection. So a lot of the visible stuff, your general home inspector is going to be able to call out and is going to be able to show you, and is, you're going to have that in a report. But what's going on in your sewer lines, nobody knows until you get a camera inspection done. And just because there hasn't been a problem before doesn't mean there's not a problem. It's never a problem until it's a problem. You see what I'm saying? So with the sewer line, say you have multiple roots and cracks in your sewer line, but maybe those roots are only clogging up about 30% of the pipe. Maybe the pipe hasn't backed up yet. It's very, very possible and highly likely that a homeowner would have absolutely no idea that they would have issues in their sewer line because it hasn't manifested into being a big problem. So what we do is we run a camera through available cleanouts in the home in order to have a look at that sewer line, and we document as much of it as possible. That way we can get a good view of what's going on, inform you of what types of pipes you have in the ground, and just let you know what's going on with your system, and if there's any issues, we can provide estimates for repair. So this leads me into cleanouts. In a lot of the older homes, those cleanouts that would have existed at one point in time, most of them are buried and inaccessible now, and somebody put a plant on top of them or redid their landscape or did an addition. So there's a really good chance maybe the cleanouts don't exist anymore. So what are you going to do when you get a backup and you have a plumbing emergency? It's really important to be able to maintain your plumbing system. So having proper cleanouts should be something that is discussed through every single real estate transaction. That way it can be properly maintained.
And those cleanouts are going to be those little, like, either black plastic circular kind of pipes that kind of either sometimes they're in closets of like really old houses. They oftentimes are behind the wall of a sink, like in the kitchen, on the other side of the kitchen. On the the stucco side outside of the house, there'll be a little circular thing with it's what kind of like a plus sign, I guess, oftentimes is what it looks like. And people are always like, that's ugly, what is that? It's their clean out. So if you see those around your house, like, don't cover those up, don't bury them, because those are going to be helpful in the long term to be able to access.
Yeah. And a lot of times they're in a garage too. The double sweep cleanouts are located in the garage. One of the main mistakes homeowners make is they're doing a brand new, beautiful epoxy floor right over their cleanouts in the garage. Please don't let your epoxy guy do that. Okay, it's important, and you can make the tops all pretty, but you got to be able to remove those caps, because if you're in one of those plumbing emergencies, we don't want to damage your floor in order to get access to your pipes. So there are a lot of different repairs that you can make if you have issues. There's many different ways to solve things like root intrusions, cracks, and breaks in your pipe that are relatively non-invasive. And it's become really common in San Diego to do epoxy lining. And that's all depending on what you find. So, right now I'm talking about mostly 60s homes, early 70s homes. If you look on the left, you'll see a really, really bad cast iron pipe. That's got a whole lot of corrosion built up in it, but it kind of gives you an idea what happens to cast iron as it gets older. So, we have tools that we can use sometimes through cleanout access without having to trench at all, and to taking that same pipe and opening it up to its original diameter and then installing a liner. That way that stops the corrosion, seals off the cracks, seals off the breaks, and adds another 50 years of design life to your system. So that's really common because we have a lot of older homes in different parts of San Diego, and a lot of older pipes. So there are basically 4 main types of pipes that you're going to find underground depending on where your house is at and the era. What you want, the good stuff, is ABS pipe. ABS came into the picture around 1972 and really was a game changer for plumbing. But even in the houses that are newer than 72, they were still using clay out in the street in the city connections. Unfortunately, I got news for a lot of you guys that think plumbing's broken in the street, it's the city's responsibility. No, not always. It depends on where you're at. So we're talking about San Diego at this point, but if you're a San Diego agent, something you should know, within the city limits of San Diego, they actually do have programs where they're redoing their own laterals up to your property line. This is fantastic. As far as I know, please do your own research, but to my understanding in Poway, they have a similar program that's going on there as well, to where they will take responsibility once it hits the street. If you are anywhere else in San Diego, it is your homeowner's responsibility all the way out to the city main. So that's important to have scoped, because those can be some of the most expensive repairs. If you have a broken line underneath the street and you don't know about it, maybe it hasn't been a problem for your previous homeowner yet, but it turns into a disaster for your new one, it can be a really serious issue. We're talking about city permits and redirecting traffic and digging up streets and a whole lot of stuff that it's important to be informed about before the purchase of a home. Again, one of the ways that a lot of the times we can fix that is with epoxy lining, which is a much more, but that's why it's become so popular, is because it's a much less expensive way to do it. It's a repair you can do in 1 to 2 days instead of, 2.5 months by the time permits are said and done.
That's amazing. That's great. Well, that kind of leads us to our last point, right? The most common plumbing surprises. We were talking about, most people don't realize that their responsibility goes to the middle of the street. So they're just like, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm good. We don't need to do any further looking. Like, everything looks good here. And it's like, well, wait, there's more.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Not in a good way, that way, huh?
Exactly. So really common plumbing surprises. Again, roots in the line. We were just talking about that. Your connections, even with a newer house, are probably clay out into the street, unless it's a home built, 90s or newer. And another one, if you're in the 90s, that would surprise a lot of people, late 80s, early 90s, Quest pipe. So Quest pipe was kind of the original PEX. Don't confuse the two. They are very different. They're not made of the same materials. Modern day PEX piping is fantastic and is a great way to, it's used right now in modern construction. But when they first started to try to create this stuff, it was Quest pipe. And there were some massive lawsuits with builders, in the 90s, to where a lot of people were able to get the money back because those fittings fail. They had about a 10-year design life, and then they were starting to crack and break and flood all over the place. If you're purchasing a home and they have Quest pipe, full house repipe immediately. That's the request for repair. Do not put one of your potential homeowners in a house with Quest pipe. Yeah, you want copper or you want PEX. If it's Quest, it's a problem. All you have to do is Google it and you'll see stuff. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, look it up. But you want to be able to confirm these things.
Definitely. Well, this has been so much helpful information just to talk about, how do we even prevent these issues? What inspection should we do in escrow? And then how to avoid some of those big surprises. This has been super helpful and really educational. So thanks so much for the time. And of course, if anyone has questions that is watching this video about plumbing, they need somebody to come look at something. Maybe there's something kind of funky happening and you've been ignoring it for a while, not sure what's happening. This is the perfect opportunity to be reminded to be, what, why don't you just dig into it? And Brandon and his team are great resources. So if you guys have any questions, please reach out. Pacific Drain and Plumbing, they work all San Diego County and even South Riverside County, pretty much, right? Is there any other areas too you guys focus on?
Bit. We will go into Temecula. We're not really known for it. We try to stay within San Diego County. Would it also be okay if I gave a shout out to a home inspection company that's really impressed me, that I think does a great job?
Sure.
So the Real Estate Inspection Company
is a
large inspection company in San Diego, and they actually have their own camera division. So it's a real estate inspection company. They do all their general home inspection. They also have a camera division. Here at Pacific Drain, we've created a very good relationship with that company, and they continue to impress me. So if they do a camera inspection for you and you decide to use them for their inspections, you can actually send me their findings if you do need an estimate for repair, and I can get it back to you for no charge within 24 hours. And that's one of the main issues with for your guys' jobs as realtors is getting a bid quickly and accurately.
Yes.
So, I have a good relationship built there to where they can identify it, which is good because they don't do repairs. You want somebody non-biased to do some of these inspections. You guys know.
Yeah, it's smart that way. Yeah, we had Philippe on, I don't know, maybe 6 videos ago, and he has so many great things to share, and they just are so thorough, and they just got so many great connections, just like what you said. Now, I didn't realize that we could send it to you, so that's something I just learned, but great shout out.
Absolutely. Well, I trust their inspectors. They're very detailed in their reports, and they put all of the information in their reports to where I need to 95% of the time. I don't need to visit the site. I can just look at their reports and provide you an estimate off that. So it's a good resource.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thanks for that. And I think with all that being said, we're all wrapped up for now. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks again, Brandon. And again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a home, it could be a great resource too, whether or not there's a plumbing issue. But anything you have going on, just reach out and I'd be happy to help. All right, you guys, have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I am so glad that you watched all the way to this point in the video because I'm happy to help raise your real estate IQ. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I wanted to take a moment to invite you to check out the description below for helpful resources and to download a guide that can include things like tips and checklists to make planning for your move even easier. It's honestly never too early to get started. If you like this video, please be sure to hit subscribe and turn on the bell so that you can get notified when we share new real estate videos each Thursday. You'll also want to check out the thumbnails that are about to pop up on the screen for other videos that we've custom made for you on this channel. And as always, this info is for people everywhere, but if you're looking to make a move to the San Diego area, I'd be happy to be a resource. You'll find my contact info in the description below. So have a great day, and I hope that you love where you live. See you guys in the next video.